All right, hey everybody. Just a little message here. Usually I have an ad before my videos, and not the ones that YouTube puts on for monetization, but the fake ads I've been putting on. But because of the internet situation that I've been in for the past couple of weeks, I just got my internet back. So this review is not going to have an ad in front of it. I'm kind of making one for both this video and for like Walking Dead and Agents of Shield. We'll be back to making fake ads when I have the time to do them. Hopefully, starting next week again, because it takes a while to come up with the idea and get it all done, and then record the review and put it all together and all that stuff. And so I've got some catching up to do. So this one doesn't have one, but that's just an anomaly. We will continue putting the fake ads in front of things for those of you who like those. But for right now, for this week at least, I have to take a back seat and just do the reviews. But there should be something. I'm thinking of doing something that you'll see on the Falcon and Winter Soldier review coming up on Friday. So I hope you still like this review without it. Otherwise, we'll be back to normal hopefully next week. Bye. Enjoy the review. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. Very glad to be back finally when we've got our internet working again. So we missed out on basically everything. Not even basically. We missed out on everything that we usually do. Our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., our Walking Dead. We weren't able to do watch parties or Twitch or anything. And I missed this week's deadline for my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so we'll be returning to that next week. And tomorrow we will be doing Falcon and the Winter Soldier, thankfully. That's going to take some work to do, but we're back to do it, and I'm really happy to be back. So we're talking today about The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 20, but we're also going to touch on Episode 19, which, in all honesty, I really am very upset that I missed, because that episode, uh, compared to this one, is far superior. Now, episode 20 is great because we'll get to that. We'll get to why episode 20 is actually really good too, just in a different way. So, episode 19, one more, is to me one of the best episodes of The Walking Dead they've ever done. It is one of the most comic booky episodes they've ever done. It really felt like one of those issues where two characters are out and they get into something small, something similar, simple, something very. Uh, I can't even think of the word I was looking for just then, but it it did a lot for the characters of Aaron and Gabriel, and it just felt like, again, like I was reading one of the comic books. Also with Robert Patrick involved, was really really great. I've Robert Patrick is a really underutilized actor. He really really is. He's been fantastic in everything, and even though everybody's gonna remember him from as the Terminator, the Liquid Terminator in Terminator 2, and with roles in like Copland, he was really good as Agent Doggett on the X Files. The guy is great. He even had like a really weird cameo practically on Lost, which I thought was going to go somewhere and never did. But Robert Patrick does a really great job in that episode as well. And the thing about it was the story that they stumble upon but don't know the answer to in the beginning of that episode, where they're following Maggie's map, looking for things, not finding anything, getting frustrated, wanting to go home, and they find that burned the bodies that were burned, and they're surrounded by flowers, and it looks like parents and like a kid. And Aaron like, what happened here? And and Gabriel saying, we'll never know. And I really dug that because what ends up happening is they kind of get involved in one of those stories where if they hadn't been there, this would just be another story that nobody knew what happened. Now they play a role in the end of this person's story, which is Robert Patrick's character. Um, by their presence, they kind of end that story. But it ends up being really super tragic, and it's just another kind of horrifying story of the apocalypse and what the apocalypse has done to people and families. And it also changes Gabriel a lot. And one of the things I love about Gabriel, see, I had the benefit of knowing Gabriel from the comics already. Again, us comic book readers are always going to be in the minority. We're the loudest voice, it seems, but we're not. We're the majority of people are the normies, the people who just know the show. So we had the benefit of following him and liking him. If you did, maybe you don't, from really early on. Plus, I had again the benefit of knowing the actor from The Wire, a show that everybody get told to watch and still not a lot of people watch. So I really liked the actor, and I really was already comfortable with the character. But he's one of those characters that took a really, really, really long time for people to warm up to. And I'm sure that some people never warmed up to have never warmed up to Gabriel. Um, and Aaron has always been the great guy who is out, looking for people to help. And so we have Aaron here who does not want to keep going, wants to go home. The guy who wants to go out and find things and find people at the beginning of this episode is the one who wants to go home, and Gabriel is the one who wants to keep going. And throughout this episode, you get to hear their stories a little bit more, especially Gabriel's background. And him saying that he doesn't want to preach anymore. And the whole thing with the whiskey and, talking about how it accentuates food and all that. And it gives you more insights into his character. The thing with the boar was hilarious. But you knew Robert Patrick was going to fit in somewhere because he was in the credits. And I thought, what happens with him being the guy who was, in that place that they found, it kind of escaped me because I became so engrossed in what Gabriel and Aaron's characters were doing and talking about. And that's good storytelling when you can kind of forget your surroundings so that you can have the the rug pulled out from under you when Robert Patrick shows up and forces them to do a deer hunter and play Russian roulette. And it was such an amazing thing because he puts them through hell. He puts them through mental torture, them trying to convince him we're good people, you can be helped, you can be saved. Telling the story of his brother and how his brother had taken the last of his food and them, him turning it around. You're thinking he's going to be fine. They're going to take him with them, and Gabriel killing him with Aaron's arm was just like, oh shit. And he's like, we can't take him with. He killed his brothers and his family. But then when you find out that they're upstairs, or at least the brother is chained up upstairs, his family has been killed by his brother, and he's like they were twins. And the twin kills himself when he sees that everything he has is gone, and all he wants to do is die. And it goes back to me that beginning of the story of, these things that if they hadn't been there, this is just another story that's probably all across the country. And that's why I really thought that this is one of the best episodes they've ever done. Really. Because as much as People, well, most people love the big grand episodes where they know somebody's gonna die, or the season premiere or the season finale. That's usually when a lot of the big stuff happens. To me, the most important episodes are those quiet ones that sneak up on you and give you really good character stuff. And that's what episode 19 did. And Robert Patrick, I mean, I'm serious. Like, I am really upset that I was not able to review this last week. Now, comparatively, episode 20, Splinter, feels like it was something that they would have done for a season premiere because of the way we left things at the end of episode 16, which was them finding the New World Order, which was in the comic books. And from back here, you see my New World Order and Princess being introduced in that issue right there. Now, so that, them doing this episode now, it turned out to be a pretty small episode. Not a lot happens. This is again another character-based episode because they were doing stuff in COVID. They didn't have everybody. They were being really safe about how they were filming, keeping characters at a distance, that kind of thing. So this is Princess's thing. Now, what makes this episode stand out and still be good is in the comics, she didn't really. She was like the last major interesting character to be introduced. Now, it's not to say that there weren't other characters introduced before the end of the book, but she's most comic booky. You know, you've got the governor that they meet. You got her kid. You got the one of the guards that plays a big role, and there's a train coming. Well, I guess hearing trains coming is a good thing. It's been a long time since we've heard a lot of trains coming, so maybe that means that things are finally getting back to normal in this country. Well, not really, but you know what I'm saying. Um, so she's the most cartoony comic booky character that that they were going to introduce. And the thing is like it feels like that there was more to do with her character, and it really didn't go that far. They didn't dive that far into her backstory. She ends up in a relationship with one of the guards, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, and that's really it. They have this really kind of interesting start of somebody who's been out there way too long by themselves, and they never really deal with that, and that's what they deal with here. And that's why I thought like Paula Lazaro, who plays Princess, is really bringing it, really adding something to this, because the character in the books is a straight up comic book character, if you know what I'm talking about. Um, this is one of the few times in the show where they've done something that the comic book didn't do as well. They improved on what the comic book did and gave us something more than we thought we wanted or needed. And a lot of times for me, they've missed the mark on that a lot. But in this, they really succeeded because it makes her more than just one-dimensional comic book character. We get to dive into what her past is and what the PTSD is like for somebody who's been out there with in extreme isolation. Now, I called the bit about where she's not really seeing any of this. It all felt like, voices in the background. She's talking to herself. She's thinking she's doing all these things, when really it's just all in her mind. Her post-traumatic stress disorder is kicking in, and again, like being by herself for so long, she's created kind of a fantasy world. Very, it made me think of Fight Club a little bit, especially when Ezekiel showed up. As soon as Ezekiel showed up, I was like, oh, fuck, none of this is happening. It's all her. And I thought that was just really, really well handled. Um, and again, it's the actress that brings it. We do get to see a little bit of these guards asking questions. I thought it was a bit much for the one guy to call her a bitch. It made me go, you're not really... It was written on purpose to make us feel more hostile towards these people or more paranoid of these people. Because if they, I guess people are people. Maybe this guy is just that way. Maybe he talks to everybody like that. Um, but it didn't ingratiate them. It makes you distrust them when they treat people like this. Like they're supposed to be the people that they came to see for help, and they're treating them this way. Now our main characters, our veteran characters, have been in these kind of situations dealing with people. But Princess seems to have been actively, able to avoid most people. And so she is not new to this. So her paranoia is very much flying like wild. And by the end, it's kind of just ends. She tells them what they need to know and gets a bag over her head. But it was her journey getting there, back from getting put in the train car and calming herself down and realizing what's real and what's not, that was interesting. And so that's really all I have to say about this. Other than her story here is better than what they did in the comic. Much, much better than what they did in the comic. Um, I thought that Carrie Payton got to have a lot of fun in this. Uh, Even though he wasn't really there, the whole scene with him standing next to the two zombies was very funny. Um, and yeah, again, if we were talking about episode 19 alone, I'd probably be talking about that a lot longer. But that's all I really got for this. And I think it's also because it's been almost 2 weeks since I've made any content that I'm just going to end it here. So if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Very excited to see where they're going next. We think we've only got 2 episodes left, right? 17? Yeah, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, we only got 2 episodes left before we go back on hiatus and then come back for the final season of The Walking Dead and see what we're going to do then. So have a great day. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week. Hopefully. Bye.